Let's wait for this delay to end. I don't know
You
how
didn't
that
do the
works.
claps.
We're streaming, so I don't have to do the audio anymore. Like, match up the audio. All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dinkytown Sports. Today we do our Week 7 recap. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Dinkytown Sports Podcast with your host Cody Hain, Cameron Madsen, and Christian Otati. Boys, I just want to say one thing before I let you get going here. I almost screwed that up, and we live stream now, so that would not have been good.
Who cares?
Attaboy.
We're raw. We're a raw production here. That's why
Yes,
everyone
and-
likes us.
Enjoy the idiocy that is us.
Mm-hmm.
Cam, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Never better. Never could
Attaboy.
be better.
Attaboy. Christian, how are you? Yeah, go Mets.
The Mets, baby. The Mets.
Big win in LA, and they come home for 3 games. They could end it at home in 5. That
Also-
would be ideal.
Also, go Yankees tonight, guys. I have a bet on. I have a bet on them. Okay,
Nope.
I have a bet.
I'd rather shoot myself in the foot than bet on the Yankees.
Well, I bet on the Skankies. So, all right, we're gonna hop into. I'm gonna do our overall records here first for this year and this week. Cameron came in at 6-6, 500. Hey, you improved your percentage. Christian went 9-3. I think that's by far the best week anyone's had so far this year.
I think there's been a 9-3 before.
Oh, has there?
Oh, I went 9-2 2 weeks ago.
Oh, there it is. Cameron's at overall record this year is 37, 40, and 2 with a 481 win percentage. Christian is
So
40.
close.
Yeah. Christian is 45, 31, and 3 with a 592 winning percentage. So close to my record from last year. I went 7-5 this week. I am now 40, 37, and 2 with a 520 winning percentage. Hey, you know what? It was a long climb to get back over 500. I will take this. And then we have Zach.
Who's not here?
Yeah, he's not here to defend himself, so I'm going to say he don't know ball. He doesn't. He went 4-8 this week. Heck of a week by Zach. Pretty much all of his picks were stupid pick of the week.
I feel like
He's
there's
now.
a reason why he's not here.
Yeah,
And it's
me
not
too.
It's not because of school.
It's embarrassment.
Homework.
Just, yeah. Sheer
But-
embarrassment.
Yeah, pretty much. He is now 37, 41, and 1 with a 474 winning percentage, which makes him now the worst. And remember when he gave us all that crap when he went 2-2? He had 2 good weeks. He's like, "Oh, you guys suck."
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Well, he said that in 2 weeks' time last week that he was going to be at the top. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's mathematically possible. Even if I go 0 for whatever, I
Yeah.
don't think he can even catch up at this point.
Let's see. Because we'd have to have 14, 17 games, and you'd have to go like 3-14, and he'd have to go 17-0.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
it's not
happening,
mathematic.
pal.
No. Zach don't know ball. But we also have a surprise. We have our all-time records in honor of Cam and I having our 200th pick last week. All right. So Cam's overall record all-time between this year and last year is 106, 98, and 5 with a 520 winning percentage. He's
I
pretty
didn't think I was
excited
going
about
to be
that.
over 500.
We all had really good years last year.
Yeah.
Christian overall is 102, 81, and 6 with a 557 winning percentage. And the guy who knows the most ball, me, is
It's just a bunch of
17
balls.
is 117, 89, and 6 with a 568 winning percentage. I would just like to throw out there last year I went 77, 52, and 4 with a 597 winning percentage. That is beyond crazy for
A
our
whole
first
year, definitely.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm cooking, and you're still historically did better last year than I'm doing right now. So
Well, I feel like last year was easier to predict because we always had Northwestern in there, which
was
they
a
hit
free
every time.
cover every time. Yeah.
Yeah, and Iowa was a free under pretty much every game. So there were a couple of things that were different last year that probably helped out a little bit. Zach went overall is 101, 91, and 4 with a 526 winning percentage. So we're all above 520. I don't, for as big a sample size as we have, I feel like we do know ball somewhat. And I feel like Zach is just trying to go against the grain too much this year. I don't think it's because he doesn't know what he's doing. I think he's just trying to make up ground. So he's picking the opposite of people instead of picking people he thinks is actually going to win.
Yeah, it seems like he's going against me every week, but
pretty much. I think he just wants to argue with you.
For how bad this year started for me, I'm just happy that I'm either 2 or 3 games away from being 500.
Hey,
I think my first week with week 0, I went 0-4, and then week 1, I think I went like 4-8. It's been a steady grind trying to get back to 500.
So I look back at the past. I'm back on week 5 right now because I wanted to figure out when I started to kind of like start winning.
Mm-hmm.
I went 8-3-1 in week 5, and I was still 28-28-2. And then week 6, I went 5-4, and then this week I went 7-5. So I'm getting back to where I was last year. Those first few weeks are like some of the picks that we had that we thought, these teams were going to be good, just never panned out. And then you had some crazy games like Kansas State getting absolutely wrecked by BYU, which was nuts, but
it's been a crazy season.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No.
I'd put it up there with 07 right now, especially if Iowa State can somehow make the number 1 spot.
I don't know. I don't think it's that crazy. I would have said, someone tweeted out, I was in their replies, that I feel like this week, if you wanted it to be on par or like on pace to be 2007, you would have needed some of the like Alabama to lose, Tennessee to lose, and they both managed to scrape away with a win. I think you needed more top 10 losses. I know Oregon, but it's 3-2. That's like not really that big of an upset.
Yeah.
To me, the only top 10 loss I think was Ole Miss, right? This week.
Yeah.
Besides Ohio State, obviously.
But yeah, because in all reality, Alabama could have lost this week and Tennessee could have lost this week.
Mm-hmm.
So if those 2 teams would have lost, the only thing that would have held me back from saying it was like 2007 is we don't have like a Kansas team coming up to be ranked number 1. And then a Missouri team to be ranked number 1.
Indiana,
like 2007 was not. Yeah. Indiana's on its way up. BYU is undefeated. Army, Navy are both ranked for the first time since what?
1960, I think was the year.
Yeah, 1960, which that's good for America. So, USA.
I saw that poll. Syracuse was ranked number 1 on that poll at that time.
Hey, you know who won the national championship in 1960?
Was it Minnesota?
Yes.
Was that a shared? Was that a shared one, or was that an outright?
I have no idea. I just know we claim it.
Yeah,
I know we claim it, but
that's all that matters.
Yeah,
UCF,
it's up on our
UCF fans.
Yeah, take that.
That's
UCF.
all that matters. If you
UCF fans. The difference is back then they didn't have national championship games, so you didn't play for an outright championship. You just went by the polls at the end of the year. Yeah.
Do you think that means do the games mean more to throughout the season if there was no championship game? Because NASCAR has done a similar thing where they went away from just the points accumulation system and went to the playoffs and stuff. And it's like the big debate. Does that mean games mean less throughout the season or they mean more? I don't know, because the Premier League still does points, so every game means something, but you can always come back out of that, but you can't replay a championship game. So I don't know.
I personally like the championship format better. The 2 best teams should duke it out, or what are perceived to be the 2 best teams should duke it out. I know it's happened before, before national championships happened, where number 1 would play number 2 in a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen a ton, but it did happen. And then the thing is, though, if you go back to the 30s and 40s, they didn't do that because travel was so much more difficult for these teams to travel across country. So it was harder to play those, big schools from the southeastern side to the northwestern side of our country. So
yeah,
I like what we have now. 12-team playoff is by far the best thing I've seen so far. So, all right, we're gonna hop into who got.
Do you want to run through
games
the AP poll quick and
Oh, yeah, we can
just
run through
point
the
out
AP poll.
some teams that
Yeah,
are interesting?
you don't want me to do the coaches poll?
We could if you wanted. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we'll do the coaches poll. It's a little. No, I'm just kidding.
One thing that was interesting that I pointed out right away when it came out was Penn State jumping Ohio State for third and Ohio State down to fourth. I didn't like that as much because Penn State kind of scraped away with the win. That wasn't exactly a whooping. And
Yeah, and it was against an unranked USC team, who, by the way, went from 11 to unranked because the Gophers beat them, which that's awesome.
Yeah, does that say more about how bad people think Minnesota is, or
Minnesota, but if you look at like all of our teams, besides like hockey, Minnesota gets no love from national media ever. The Vikings are still being called frauds. They're 5-0 and have the biggest point differential in the NFL.
Well, I could see why you'd think that because you have Sam Darnold as your quarterback.
That's exactly what they're saying.
I could see why
Sam
people
Darnold.
would second guess that success. Well,
My counter is we have KOC, boys.
right, yeah. Good coaching always helps out.
Yeah.
But Penn State, they did not really beat the brakes off of USC, so
No.
I don't know what they were really thinking with that, because I don't think it changes much in terms of like the playoff picture if Ohio State is ahead. They play each other though, right? That was the whole idea, so they weren't going to be in that same spot anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but like for posterity's sake, I would have just flipped Oregon Ohio State because they played, that was like an insanely close game and Ohio State probably should have won. So and have Oregon at 2, that's fine. I would have put them at 1, honestly, because that's the biggest win of the year so far.
Yeah, they should have been put at 1.
And Texas still really hasn't played anyone of note. I know Oklahoma was ranked, but that was just like for what, I don't know why they were ranked.
Oklahoma wasn't good. I said Oklahoma was overrated to begin with.
Yeah, we all picked Texas for that, I think. Oh, except for Zach.
Because that was a stupid pick of the week. I do know that was a stupid pick of the week. I'll give him, when he does stupid pick of the week, if he hits like 30% of those, I'd be impressed.
He's like 1 for whatever now. I don't think he's that close.
No, he ain't gonna get close to 30% on those.
Alabama stayed at 7. I saw a lot of people were upset about that because Tennessee lost to Florida and they dropped 3. But my argument was that I think South Carolina is a much better team than Florida is this year, and Alabama still has that Georgia win. So that's kind of gonna lock them into the top 10 so long as Georgia is up there.
Well, then my next question is, if they did decide to drop Alabama, who are you going to start throwing up there? Iowa State, Clemson, BYU, Indiana?
I wouldn't have put them ahead of. I wouldn't have put Iowa State ahead of them. LSU, sure.
I don't know about LSU. Their defense is just not that good.
I don't know, man. LSU is like grinding out these wins. I don't know. Zach's whole philosophy of like great teams win games. They're like, except for
they're the best team in the nation.
The USC loss week 1, they've like been just grinding out these wins. It hasn't been pretty.
No,
but they managed to do it.
I'm just talking about like on like a national champ, like the playoff level there. I think LSU compared to everyone else, maybe Iowa State kind of fits into the paper tiger too, but because I don't really want to call them frauds because I mean they are 5-1 and Iowa State is 6-0, and Iowa State just shut 120-0 this week. So I mean, it's not a huge offensive explosion, but they dominated on defense.
Yeah.
One thing I find funny is Notre Dame is on a 5-game win streak, and they still dropped a spot.
Well, because they got to have teams jumping. They got to have teams going up. I don't know. The AP poll is like basically useless now that there's a championship.
Yeah, you have to wait till the only polls that matter are the CFP polls.
And they do positioning differently. Like their philosophy is different. It's like I don't know. Obviously there was this argument last year, but
one thing I do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
Sorry, I was just gonna say the one thing I do like about the AP poll is it gives us something to talk about, and it kind of shows us where like the national media people stand on things. So,
because these like no one thinks that Iowa State is like a better team than some of these other teams, but they're up there because they're 6-0 and they're deserving of it. But in like the championship, like once those start rolling out for the CFP, I don't think that they're going to be up there so much. I think Clemson's going to be over them. I think A&M maybe, Tennessee probably would be over them. I don't know. It's tough. There's no like. The thing about 2007 is there was no dominant team, and besides Texas right now, there is no dominant team.
I'd argue with the Texas thing too, where if they played Ohio State or Oregon, it would look identical to the Ohio State-Oregon game.
Maybe. I've been seeing a lot of people saying that Texas would win that like pretty easily.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. If Texas went to Oregon, like Ohio State had to do, I think it'd be a close game. It'd be a rock fight. Same thing if Oregon went to Texas.
Well, you look at that Texas game against Michigan at the Big House early on in the year. Everybody was super high on that win, and they're thinking Michigan's going to be a top team. And what are they now? 24.
Yeah, still ranked somehow.
They shouldn't be ranked.
Yeah.
They're ranked because their name is Michigan.
Like I would have Vandy over them for sure.
Mississippi State's not that good. I mean, 34-3 against Oklahoma is decent.
Another nice one we'd like to see is SMU. SMU is ranked 21st now, as they're 5-1.
Yeah, good for them. Way to get back in there. I will say
you see a lot of teams winning games now. LSU jumped 5 spots. Ole Miss dropped 9 after losing to LSU.
Hey, I'm doing the pod.
SMU
I'll
jumped
talk to you in a
4
little bit,
spots. Okay? And then obviously Army and Navy just came in. But I like today's college football. I think it's a lot more competitive. Yes, there's bigger name schools, but seeing Army, Navy. Army,
yep.
Navy, SMU, even Boise State in there. BYU's still undefeated.
Yeah, this is a blast from the past.
It's nice to see these schools being relevant again, and Boise State's been rolling.
Mm-hmm.
You see Gene T back there, and the dude's standing straight up before he carries the football.
Bro is Michael Myers in the backfield.
I will say though, Boise State doesn't really have a great win. That's one thing that bothers me about them. They played Oregon tight.
They almost did.
Yeah,
Oregon tight, yeah.
Because if they would have come out with that win, they probably would be top 5 right now.
For sure.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, but I don't think Oregon was playing up to snuff at that point in the season, so it's a little bit different. You have to have nuance with these sorts of things. That's why I feel like I've been picking well, is because I've been very harsh on those, like the nuances, like seeing how teams play each other means different things at different times, and some people, they just see like a win or a loss and that's how they judge things. But I see quality of win, how exactly they got that win, and like what the positioning was, because some people are going to see later in the season, they're going to see, maybe if they weren't paying attention at this point, that Oregon beat Ohio State. Whoa, but Ohio State was in field goal range and they just needed to get down, and that whole game could flip. So it's just that sort of thing, as you have to be mindful of that as a fan. I think if you're trying to get out of your casual phase, I think we're not casuals anymore.
No, we do a lot of deep diving on these teams.
So to get out of the casual phase, you have to really look at these games, even look at individual plays. Like when we were going through the Minnesota game, Zach and I was talking about how, like, if you see Brosmer throws 2 picks against Iowa, you're like, oh man, he sucks. But when you look at the picks, they weren't his fault. So it's like, it's you have to have that sort of thing. And that's what I like about what we do, is we get to be able to do that. But yeah, awesome. Vanderbilt should be ranked. Get them ranked, you cowards. That makes Alabama look better. So please rank them. Syracuse is receiving votes, which is awesome.
Hold on. I would die happy if I saw Vanderbilt ranked.
I don't think they play anyone of note, so they probably could.
They don't, not until they play Texas.
You know what? Seeing Vandy, even at 25, and leaving Army at 23, taking Michigan out completely, and just moving up Navy to 24.
That's probably what I would do.
I truly don't believe Michigan deserves to be even in the talk for top 25 right now.
Hold on. I have a question for you guys here. Texas
Sure.
and Vanderbilt is being played on the 26th. Why are they playing on a Wednesday?
The old Wednesday shootout. I don't know.
Hmm.
Is that a Wednesday?
Weird.
Did you say
Yeah,
that?
it's
No,
a
it's
Wednesday.
Playing Vanderbilt and who?
It's Friday. For it says Friday
The 26th?
of October.
Yes. That's 12 days from now.
October 26th. There's 7 days in a week.
Oh, no, you're right.
It's
You're right. I'm an
Saturday.
idiot. It'd be Friday.
No, my calendar says October 20th.
Oh, so
26th
ESPN
is a
says
Saturday.
Vanderbilt Commodores versus Texas Longhorns, First Bank Stadium, Friday, 10:25. So this is so stupid. ESPN has been off the chisel with this stuff. They had A&M ranked, two people ranked 25 like a couple weeks ago. Do you remember that?
Yep.
So weird.
No, okay, I'm sorry. I miscounted. That was my problem because I'm an idiot.
No, we have the same
But-
education, Cody.
Well, we it is Wasika math, yes.
Shout out Wasika schools.
Woo! Go Jays.
Vandy. Okay, so Vandy would, if they had that Missouri win, obviously you want that one back.
Yep.
They play Ball State this week, so all they have to do is take care of business at Ball State, and I'm sure someone will drop out of the rankings and they'll be in.
Yeah.
So
Michigan.
and then
I
they
don't know
play
who they play,
Texas, so they might only have 1 week of glory. But
Well, to me, if they play Texas close, though, they should stay ranked.
if they play Texas close, does that mean Alabama gets off the hook a little bit?
I think so. I think Vandy's a lot like they're improving. Like, yeah, they have those 2 losses, but I think they're improving.
They're
Like,
good.
Where's
They're a
that
good
game
team.
at?
I don't know.
Is that at
I think
home for
It's
Vandy?
it's in Nashville. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in Nashville.
Could you
So-
imagine if they upset them too, and then you just see the whole goalpost thing again, and they just go throw it in the river again? That'd
Okay,
be
and
insane.
also NCAA, quit fining schools for rushing the field, you cowards. God, I hate
I see
that.
why they want to try to dissuade it, as it's a safety issue for players and fans, but they're never going to stop. And
No,
these
It's not like
schools,
people are getting hurt.
Well, I mean, it has happened actually.
Well, who was the one that faked the injury last year? And then he's like, yeah,
Oh, that was that was a basketball game.
oh yeah, that's right. That was that Duke player.
Yeah,
But still, same thing.
because he ran into the fan himself.
Filipkowski?
Filipkowski or something like he ran into the fan himself. Like it wasn't even the fan's fault. He's just he was being
And then he acted like he got shot.
he was being a bad person.
yeah, but there always seems to be like fans running into players, and the players like punch them or push them or something, and they get in trouble. I don't know. I see why they would want it to stop,
Well,
but that makes it even better. That makes
Yeah.
it, when you drink alcohol underage, it's just better.
It,
We're not promoting that.
we don't condone underage
not
drinking on
promoting
this
that.
show.
Even of age.
The Morgan Wallen said it. It's the beer before you turn 21. It's just better. That's Morgan Wallen, not me. That's not conducive of the
podcast.
Dinkytown Sports overall conglomerate. We don't condone that. But if it's against the rules, it might theoretically make it a little bit sweeter when you do it. So
To me, and also for the players thing, the players that lost, like, keep your hands at your side. Like, I know it's probably annoying that the fans are rushing the field,
and
but
they're running into you, but you just have to have that discipline right there in that moment.
Yeah, just have discipline.
Get off the field.
Yeah. Seriously.
Go
Turn
home.
around as
You
soon as
lost.
it hits zeros, you shake hands. You like if they're gonna rush the field, you just
Don't even
zoom to the
shake hands,
locker
just
rooms. Yeah,
leave.
just go to
That-
the locker
No,
room.
you suck.
Basketball
the
players
fans
have
have
that
their fun.
down. They always the basketball, you hit that buzzer beater and you upset the opponent, they run right into the locker room. They always do that. They have that like under wraps.
I
The
feel like it's a
football
bigger
needs to
issue
do
for
that.
basketball because it's just a smaller surface.
It's just like 30,000 people on like a 100-foot long court versus
yeah.
I don't know, versus 100,000 on a 300-foot long field. I don't know.
Only 50,000 in Minnesota.
Yeah, well, when you play real football, you get 100,000
Oh,
people.
real football, huh? Hey. Who invented cheerleaders, which is a real part of football? Minnesota did.
So true. Made it 100 times better for us.
Yes,
spectators.
Minnesota sometimes is smart. Hold on, but I was gonna say I think Michigan will probably drop out after this week. They play Illinois.
I think they'll end up with a win there.
Game.
I think Illinois is going to curb stomp Michigan.
No,
maybe not curb stomp. I think they're gonna win. I don't think Michigan's that good.
Didn't Illinois not have a great game this week?
I don't know who they play.
Yeah, they were in a slugfest with Purdue. They won 50 to 49 to Purdue.
Yeah.
Hey, I love the offensive shootout though. Hey, good teams win games, guys, but they only lost by 14 to the number 4 team in the country now, 3 team or whatever, Penn State.
Penn State's fraudulent. Sorry, I'm gonna say that now that Zach isn't here to argue with me. Penn State is not a good team. I'm getting deja vu because I think I said this last year. They are extremely overhyped. They don't play that tough of a schedule. They've skated by in their wins. I'm not impressed. They're going to get exposed at some point, and I hope it's very soon. I don't even know who they play this upcoming week. Wisconsin, that might be tough. Oh, they have a bye week, but their next game is Wisconsin. That might be tough. At Camp Randall.
Looking forward to next week. We got some good Big Ten games. Nebraska's playing Indiana, Michigan, Illinois. Oregon, Purdue ain't anything. Iowa, Michigan State really shouldn't be close. Never mind. And the Gophers don't play.
Yeah, the Gophers have a bye next week.
A much needed bye. They needed.
Yes.
They need it bad.
This is where in 2019 the Gophers really turned it on, was after their bye week. So we'll see if they can do it again.
Yeah, because if they can keep that momentum while having that rest, I'd look out, man. I'm thinking Penn State's going to get upset. That's my bold.
That'd be but I hope Penn State keeps winning, because I would love to beat another top 5 Penn State team. That'd be awesome.
Because you guys beat USC a little more handedly than they just beat USC. So, and they played UCLA, and basically it was the same game. 20 whatever to. So,
yeah, I shouldn't be as hard on UCLA as I am, because if you look at all the teams they've played, they've all been ranked and they're all pretty good teams. Yeah, like the teams that they've lost to. So,
see, that's another nuance thing. It's someone said they were 1-5 or whatever, 1-4, but they play good teams, and they're going to be in a good spot. I think that was probably why Cam thought it was going to be a trap game, because
one of the reasons.
One of. But right now, ESPN has you guys as a 25% chance to win this game. So that's a significant amount, I'd think, for that much of an upset to happen.
To me, it just depends on which team shows up, because Minnesota it's like Jekyll and Hyde almost, you know?
We're gonna get copyright strikes.
Yeah, Cam. Don't copyright strike us, guy.
Never heard that song.
I don't know what that is either.
What song?
Anyway,
with honor of them joining the top 25, I feel like we should do both the Army and the Navy game this week.
Sure.
I'm down with that.
How many times are we going to be able to say that without it being the Army Navy game?
True.
What was the thing? They could play 3 weeks in a row.
They could possibly play 3 times in a row. They could play the championship game, their Army Navy game, and if they both make the playoffs, which is super unlikely, but it could happen.
Do we have to? They don't play anyone. Navy plays Charlotte, Army plays East Carolina.
It just depends on if they're the highest. That's why I said they probably won't get both in. But if one of them ends up being the highest ranked Group of 5 team, they'd be in.
I mean, do we have to do them next week?
Who are they play?
Let's look who they play in advance to week 9.
Week 9. What are they in? They in the AAC?
AAC, yeah.
Navy plays Notre Dame.
Army plays Notre Dame too.
Yeah, they play in a couple weeks, though.
Army has a bye week.
Oh, Army plays them.
Otherwise, I can't, or I just can't see it. But I think Army has a bye week.
Army
Why
plays
can't I-
East Carolina on the 19th, so that's this week.
Yep. Hold on, I'm clicking into Army's schedule because I know they play Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame plays Charlotte, so
Yes.
I don't think we should do them this week, but
Hold on. I think we should do
Hopefully
the
they
Army.
just win then.
I think we should do the Army Air Force game, not because Air Force is. I don't know how they're doing this year,
Not
but it is
good.
It's a military school game.
they're 1-5,
like-
dude. We do not have to do that game.
But they're
Yeah, we
military.
didn't have to do
school.
the UCLA.
Honor the military, Christian.
I'm sick
Gosh.
of giving you guys free games to make way back into this stupid stuff. I want you gone. I want you guys all buried.
Hey, to be fair, last year we had a few free games, but at the same time too, like Northwestern was playing close with everybody, so it was always an interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
So like things like that happen, but I understand not doing like the Army Air Force game. I was just giving you a hard time about not, But yeah,
Let's go through our picks now.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's go through the picks here. So for the Minnesota game, we all took Minnesota -3.5, and Cam made sure to let us know it was a trap game in here.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I didn't know if I was gonna get my pick in.
Yeah,
Like I
because
didn't know if I was gonna be on the show that week.
Yeah. Next up, man, I must really know ball here. Washington at Iowa.
Don't make me say it again.
Cameron, Christian, and Zach all took Washington +3. I took the Hawkeyes -3, and the Hawkeyes covered.
Well, that was certainly a hangover game for them because they had a huge win against. They played Michigan last week, right? So that's kind of what you want to. I mean, and then Caleb John. I mean, Iowa's good, man. I don't know why Iowa hasn't put it together when I pick them, but when I pick against them, it's just.
I was just gonna say too. My deciding factor was the fact it was in Kinnick, and Kinnick is just a hard place to win for anybody. Like they have a ton of top 5 wins there, like top 5 upsets in Kinnick. It's just a really weird
Send
place
Bama
to
there.
play. Yeah, send Bama to Kinnick. Get him in that pink locker room.
I don't know. You guys
They
said the
won't
same thing
waive.
about Camp Randall, right?
Oh, Alabama won't waive? Wow, that's really mean, Bama.
We're
So
in
next-
business only.
Yeah,
No waving to the
yeah,
sick
no
kids.
waving to the children hospital. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Wisconsin at Rutgers. This one surprised me. Maybe not so much that Wisconsin, pulled out a win, but it's how they won.
Yeah, definitely.
That was nuts. Cam, Christian, and I, we all took Rutgers -2.5. Zach, for the one time this week, was the only one that got this one right. He took Wisconsin +2.5, and I think it was I actually thought that was a really bad pick, but
I mean, I think Wisconsin with Braden Locke instead of Van Dyke and Tyree Walker instead of Ches Malusi is like a good offense. I don't know if they're like in a honeymoon phase or something, but they're cooking. They've had a couple weeks with a lot of points scored. In the back of my mind, I was a little worried about that because we know Rutgers does not have the offense. As long as Ethan Kalik-Manis is throwing the football, they're not going to have that. And they're just going to focus on the run on defense, and it worked. Wisconsin beat the brakes off of them, and they scored the entire game. They scored 14 in the first, 14 in the third, and 14 in the fourth. They were not, and I think Rutgers' touchdown was in garbage time anyway. So,
Ethan Kaliak-Manis supremacy, guys.
yeah, poor guy.
I think Zach actually picked Wisconsin just because he doesn't like Kaliak. Part of the reason is because he doesn't like Kaliak-Manis.
Well, his instincts were correct.
Yes, and he has some
wanna-
really dumb reasons for picking teams, so it wouldn't surprise me.
You want to know something crazy here? I know we didn't pick this game, but the Purdue putting up 49, put up 3 points in the first half.
Holy crap.
17 in the third, 20, what was that? 23 in the fourth.
Oh my god. What happened to Illinois' defense?
That's nuts.
That is crazy. Holy crap. Well, the thing is like Purdue
At
is
halftime it was 24-3.
Jesus. That's called wetting the bed. But Purdue, I will say Purdue is an air raid offense, so they do like just randomly have games where they absolutely explode on offense.
And Purdue started a different quarterback this week too.
They did.
So they played Ryan Brown, who had 300 yards and 3 tuds. So
and he ran for 120.
Yeah, another team to look out for.
Yeah.
I guess that is these midseason changes. I think Florida's rolling with Lagway now instead of Mertz.
Yeah, I'll have to watch a Florida game
so
to like catch up with them.
These are always interesting. This is what makes it so tough, is because teams are not the same after making changes like that. So we're gonna have to take this into account.
But this year, there's been so many changes. Like, there's not normally this many changes. Like, and I'm gonna use the NFL as an example here too, just in football in general. Look at all the head coaches that could possibly be fired mid-season in the NFL right now. Like, it is absolutely crazy what's going on in football. But
another team I just saw to Marcel Reed instead of Connor Wigman for A&M, and look at where they're at now. They're a top 15 team. So if you're just one piece away and then like something is added, because clearly Brown is good on his feet, maybe that adds another dimension that they have to worry about on defense, and that puts everyone into conflict. So we'll see. Purdue might be upset potential for some of these future picks. Maybe they'll be the new Northwestern for us. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on them. I don't know if I want to do it next week, but if they can do it again next week against a decent team, I'd be happy to just throw them in.
Yeah, they play Oregon next week. We'll have to see.
If they keep it close, if they keep it close with Oregon, I will throw them in next week against whoever they're playing, just because they make things interesting.
Yeah, I was listening to Josh Pate going over this week, and he said that the Ohio State-Oregon game was like just played on a different level. Like, it just looked like better football was being played than any other games this week, and pretty much so far this year. So I don't think that's going to happen. We'll get to that shortly.
Yeah, we're almost there, so we'll get to that here in a minute. All right, so next up we had number 4 Penn State at USC. Cam took the over at a guy. That's what I should have done. I really thought about it, but I was an idiot and didn't. Christian took USC plus 3.5. I believe they lost by 3, correct?
Yep.
All right. And then Zach and I took Penn State minus 3.5. So with this one, Penn State might be paper Tigers, but with the Gophers beating USC by more than 3, I figured Penn State could probably do it. So
no, man, Penn State is fraudulent. I was almost certain of an upset here. I would have bet the house that USC was going to win this game. They ended up choking at the end, but the USC was not like a worse team than Penn State in this game, and that's what scares me.
Interesting. Cam, your thoughts on that one? Just because it was a close game.
Well, I thought that it would be close just due to all the travel Penn State was. One side of the country to another isn't going to be easy for anyone, but obviously it didn't affect Drew Aller, who almost threw for 400 yards. But I get USC's 3-3, but like we've said earlier in the show, that they've had a really tough schedule, but it just proves that really it's anyone's game in the Big Ten. Oregon's obviously top dog right now, but USC's been battling it out. Penn State's been winning very close games. I wouldn't be surprised if they're on upset watch. Probably not next week against Purdue, but very well in the future. I see Penn State getting upset, because I'm with Christian. I don't think they're good. We talked about it on Wednesday when we were arguing with Zach, but I think they're fraudulent. Aller's been balling out, but I don't know if they have enough to hold on to make a CFP push.
Yeah, me either.
They play the easiest schedule, though, out of the rest of the top teams, in my opinion, because they play Ohio State and you guys, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you're kind of banking on one of Wisconsin, Washington, or Purdue to kind of play how they're supposed to, especially if Purdue has a good offense now. So Penn State it would suck if they squeaked into the championship over what we would probably think is a more deserving team. But the Big Ten is up for grabs, that's for sure. if you can somehow figure out how to win games, I don't know, like you guys I think are still in the hunt if you can win out, obviously. Wisconsin, like everyone that isn't Rutgers and down on the standings right now, I think has a shot. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I do like parity. I love the fact that every game is more competitive now. Like everything means so much more. Like, because Minnesota, what are we, 4-3? Like, we've had some of these games, like North Carolina, we probably should have won. Well, there's 5-2. Michigan probably should have won. They're 6-2 or 6-1. So like Minnesota is not as bad as I think, because I know I got down on them, and it wasn't so much the players, because I've been saying we have the talent. The coaches are the problem. That was my entire point. Like I said, PJ's good at developing talent, but he needs good coordinators, because he doesn't call plays. He's the rah-rah guy. He's the everyone,
I don't know. I think
come around me and
I think Harbaugh has been improved this year.
Yes, he is improving, and
I don't know if that's because the QB play has been better. I think that has a lot to do with it, but it's Heatherman, right, or Weatherman?
Heatherman is
the defensive coordinator for Rutgers. He's really good. I've liked what he's done on defense. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it didn't look that great this game, but you got to think, like, they held Miller Moss in check. He knows how to game plan those big games. So,
well, even against UCLA, those first couple touchdown drives that UCLA had, when they were throwing those passes, I mean, the defender that was coming to hit the quarterback was literally half a step from the quarterback every time he was getting rid of it. Like, UCLA had a great game plan against that, and not every team's going to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. That was just really good. And to me, that's good quarterback play, because he can't hesitate at all. He has to get the ball, like, look at your guy throw it, because that blitz is coming, and it is coming fast. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was impressive. I don't know their quarterback's name.
Ethan Garbage.
Yeah. I thought he played pretty well with facing that blitz. So, but yeah, I think the Big Ten is up for grabs. The two best teams in the Big Ten, I think, are Ohio State and Oregon, and it's not even close.
Then there's a big drop, and then you get to like Penn State, I guess.
But the thing is like, the other teams are good enough to upset in Oregon or to upset in Ohio State, I love it.
See, I don't know. I feel like it's so hard, man. This year is so awesome. I wasn't a huge fan of, like, I don't know. This is what NIL brings to the table, in my opinion. If you can get this sort of parity, because kids are going to go to schools that are either closer to home or offer something different. Like, it sucks for Alabama, because they had the program, and that's why you wanted to go to Alabama, was for the program. I know you guys all joke about how Saban's been paying players. He's never even been accused of that by anyone of note. So I think it was just because he was a good coach, and it's a little different now. Like Caleb Downs going to Ohio State, and like even Caden Proctor before he flipped back to Alabama going to Iowa. It's like you're going to get more homegrown. Like the running back for Rutgers is from New Jersey. You're going to keep talent around. I think that helps you guys a ton, because you guys have had an issue with losing talent out of state.
So, but here's the thing. To me, that, like, the NIL, like, the big players are going to go where the money is. So you're still going to have those top tier teams. What I said is, when before NIL came to be a thing, back when they had the transfer rule, I thought just the transfer rule was even better, because these kids are transferring out to play at these smaller schools, because maybe they weren't big enough or they didn't start at Alabama. So now they're transferring to, like, a mid-tier school that is competitive, but they just don't have that one player to put them over the top.
Right.
And then that was putting them over the top. Like, that's what I liked. That's why I liked that transfer rule before NIL.
But then it works the opposite, where, like, small schools, like Graham Nicholson, the kicker for Alabama, was poached from was it Iowa State or whatever, and then the coach started freaking out about how they stole him. It's like, sometimes it works both ways, but this is what could happen if NIL is works.
If it's done right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if you have two teams who theoretically, like the guys who are from the Pacific Northwest and they're really good, Alabama's recruiting them. If this is 4 years ago, before NIL, they might go to Alabama because it's Nick Saban, but now they're going to Oregon because they're getting a similar amount of money and the coaching is okay, like Lanning is good, and it's you're going to get those guys at home. Like you guys got Parrish and see what he's done so far. He's been your star on defense. Like it's keeping guys in state, I think, is one major benefit of the NIL, because if you're going to get offered a good amount of money, you're going to want to stay home, right? Like if it's two similar situations, one is like you go to USC and you play for Lincoln Riley, or you go to wherever you're from, like if you're from New Jersey, and you know, there's more nuance to the decision-making process.
Yeah. And before we move on here, and because we got to talk about that Ohio State and Oregon game, when Coy Parrish had that interception against USC, the one thing that I will say, if you stay home and you make that game-sealing interception against a top 15 team, there is nothing like it, because you're not just the hero now. You're the hometown hero. Like, you are from Minnesota. You were a Gopher fan growing up, and you just sealed a huge game for the Gophers. There is no feeling in the world like that. That's why I wish more kids would stay home.
Legend now, like forever.
I feel like you'd be more appreciated.
And then he had another 2 against UCLA. He's cooking, dude.
Dude's a good ball player.
The funny thing about it is they haven't media trained him yet. Have you guys seen that clip?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, what happened?
You haven't seen it?
Behind the
You'll
mic?
have to look up. No,
Is that was with Justin Wally, right?
Yeah, they're like, what do you think about the brandishing the weapon? And he goes, oh man, that was awful. And then Justin Wally goes, he's like, it's the ref's call.
Yeah,
you gotta respect what they.
I love when Wally.
He doesn't say anything bad.
Yeah,
well, when you're from up there, how good is your social skills when you're from up there by Duluth? There's probably not a whole bunch of people you've talked to in your whole life, so.
No, the problem is we're all sarcastic up here, and and a lot of us speak our mind or be passive aggressive about things. So I thought that was a very Minnesotan answer, that he just thought it was a terrible call.
He's tied for second in picks in the nation too, by the way. So.
But it was just funny because when he said that, you could see Wally start to like try to stop himself from laughing. It was pretty funny. That entire exchange was gold.
That was awful. I gotta find that clip. That sounds really
Yes,
funny.
you got it. It is such a funny clip.
All right, let's move on.
Next up, we got Ohio State at Oregon. We kind of talked about it a little bit here. Me, Cam, and Zach all took Ohio State -3. Christian took Oregon +3. His probably would have hit either way. I would like to say, though, that I don't think like us choosing Ohio State was necessarily a bad pick, because I don't think there was a bad choice in this game.
There's a lot of those picks this week where it was one score either way. Like Zach was saying how like most of his ones that he got wrong were like one score and could have flipped, you know? So that's the breaks. You just have to pick what your gut feels. And I mean, Oregon felt like the worst team going into this game, but they had a plan and they kicked butt in the trenches. That one thing, I don't think there was a whole ton of pressure on Dylan Gabriel this whole game. I don't know if you guys were actually watching it, but
I was not.
But if you go back and watch, I don't think Dylan Gabriel really felt uncomfortable in the pocket, which is what you have to get him to do, because when he's in a clean pocket, he's fantastic. But when you get him out of rhythm, out of the pocket, that's where he kind of falters, in my opinion. But he's sneaky athletic. This game kind of flipped my opinion on him, because I had been like a Dylan Gabriel hater since last year. I think I'm going to be on his side now, because this game was really impressive, especially on an Ohio State defense. Hanging 32 on Ohio State is not an easy task, and they pulled it off. Who were the wide receivers for Oregon? It was Tez Stewart, I think it was.
No, not Tez. Evan Stewart.
Evan Stewart and Tez. Oh my goodness. Sorry, everyone. Tez Johnson.
Tez Johnson.
They both had 7 receptions, and they looked really good, and that was something that was weird because, well, especially Trayshawn Holden getting ejected early for spitting on the player. the defensive player. That was someone you would have liked to have had in the game. And I think the receivers were not like a question mark coming into the season, especially because they had lost a few to the draft last year, and they balled out. Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State balled out. Emeka, he balled out. This was just a really good game. It was just a good football game. Two really good teams.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, football players, would you quit spitting on people? Oh my God, it's ridiculous. Like if you guys get into a fight on the field, I get it. It happens, testosterone's high. Like it's a competitive sport. But spitting on somebody, really? God.
Hey, he had a visor. It's fun.
Oh my gosh. But still,
visor spits should not be an ejection. That's our opinion.
The other thing,
you gotta go to review to make sure it was on the visor.
The other thing that's been kind of funny is all these guys, like, I don't know if you've seen the one where the guy, I believe he made a tackle and then he stands over the guy and he's just pumping the shotgun at him. I was like, guys, what's up with all these shootings going on the field?
Wasn't there one in the NFL where the guy's like, he unloaded a magazine on the dude or something after the play? Like,
yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that
celebration.
Yeah,
I don't know what's up with that.
Like the brandishing the weapon. Come on. The sports are supposed to keep kids off the streets and violence down. We don't want to promote that. That is a Dinkytown assertion. We believe in no violence.
I'm all about celebrating, but why is that a celebration? Like, it's one thing where it's like in basketball where you hit a three and they do like a bow and arrow three because you're shooting it. But in football, unless
that
you're making but like, oh my gosh, like the seatbelt when you make a tackle because
the strapped, that's awesome.
And I think that's where Wally got in trouble, was because he was doing it to show the strap, but it was brandishing a weapon, obviously.
Yeah, those kids in there.
I don't like this.
My favorite celebration that like is a player specific one is, you guys know Matt Judon, right?
Yeah.
When he gets a sack and then he cuts up and then he does the wipes his mouth thing. That is so cool to me.
Yeah. Jared Allen's my favorite one.
Why can't they dab? Hit the dab like the old days.
No.
Whip.
So there was one other good celebration I saw. This dude scores a touchdown. He goes, hits a home run, kicks down the front door, and then he's just gunning everyone down inside the door.
That's so stupid. Like you'll
have to find that clip too. That's a funny.
That's a lack of discipline.
Penalized, but
yeah, talk about a lack of discipline.
So you guys want to talk about like when all these excessive celebrations started? I would like to thank Miami, Florida for that. Back when they were the U, like the big dogs,
the early 2000s.
No. The 80s.
Oh.
Like back when they were like the bad boys, like Catholics versus convicts and stuff like that. Like when they celebrated, they knew how to celebrate. I watched their 30 for 30 and stuff, and watching them celebrate was probably my favorite part of the entire video. Because when the NCAA came out with their new celebration rules, it was literally just taking the celebrations from Miami and putting them on a video saying, you can't do that anymore.
I don't know. If you guys scored a touchdown, I wouldn't know what to do. I would be like, and then I'd run back to the bench.
Some were a little excessive, but the problem is in the NCAA overcorrected. They went too far. So, but
if we get Georgia, Notre Dame this year, we'll have Catholics against convicts again. So
it's possible. Notre Dame's ranked 11th right now? They'd be in the CFP, I think.
Catholics versus convicts No, because the convicts are always going to be Miami now.
I don't think so, dude. The joke about Georgia and the driving thing is like really funny.
I think it'd be the modern take on Catholics versus convicts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, or like who's another Holy Cross or like I don't know.
Holy Cross. Yeah, that'd be the game. All right. I just wanted to say, I think if this gets played in the Horseshoe, Ohio State wins. I think home field advantage for these two teams matters because I think they're that even. So.
You see this?
Yeah.
This is how many false starts Ohio State had.
Yep.
They had 6 because they couldn't
This is
hear
how
anything.
many they should have. That's how many they should have.
Autzen was rocking. And you could hear it. You know how they like tone down the crowd noise on broadcast? You could still hear like just the insane they love their football up there. So the Seahawks have a similar thing. It's just the Pacific Northwest is a sneaky good football fan base up there.
Yeah, I would like to say too that maybe not for the Gophers just because we're like always terrible, but like for Vikings games, Minnesota fans get the same way about the Vikings. Their pro team, not their college team. They get that way about their pro team though.
Well, did you see what Flex said about the fans at the Rose Bowl? He said that they should have all got a game ball because of how loud and how supportive they were.
Oh, yeah. Like,
well, it's a free vacation.
The thing is like Minnesota just typically being a dumpster fire, the past 2 decades, more or less. Mm-hmm. The fans that have been through all of that and are seeing some success now are probably some of your more passionate fans in football because they've been through the struggle. They never left. They never wavered. So I think that's the way fans should be. I hate when people are like, well, my team's not good, so I'm just going to jump. I'm not going to like them anymore, and I'm just going to cheer for a different team. Like, it's one thing if you like a team your whole life. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But if they're bad, that means you shouldn't quit on them.
Yeah, you got to ride it out, man.
Yeah. And
Mets,
Christian will know how that feels someday, probably in the next 50 years at some point.
Dude, the Mets have been awful my entire
I was kidding. I was talking about Bama as in
yes,
football.
Yes, fandom is odd in that way. It's just like you want so badly to stop rooting for them, but you just can't. And
I mean, have you heard me talk about the Gophers? I'm like their biggest critic, but I'm also
still won't say row the boat.
Yeah, but the thing is like I'm still a diehard Gopher fan. Like I still cheer for them every week, even if I don't support the head coaches or anything like that. I still cheer for them. They're still my team, and I scream and yell at the TV like I do every week when the Gophers are playing. So,
all right, let's fly through the rest of these games.
Yeah, sorry guys, we got a little off track there. All right, so next up, Christian, I'll just have you talk about this one just a little bit. Bama, South Carolina. Cameron took Bama minus 21. He got that wrong. Christian took South Carolina plus 21. Add a guy. I took the over, which hit, and Zach took Bama minus 21 and got it wrong. This is the one game that Zach just absolutely got wrong. Well, that in Oklahoma, but
yeah. Don't forget the Oklahoma one. Let's keep mentioning that. But just another classic this year. Bama not performing. That's just all it is. I mean, there's been a lot of anger at the coordinators, specifically on defense. The Fire Womack hashtag has started to go viral. There's some outrage. I mean, it's tough. It's tough in football now. I mean, there's so many good coaches all over the place. And Kirby Smart said after Alabama lost to Vanderbilt that welcome to the SEC. It's hard every week. And that's true. It is true. South Carolina, in my opinion, would be top half of a lot of conferences. Probably the Big Ten too, in my opinion. Vandy would be up there too. It's just, it's so hard. And if you're not if you're not innovating, if you're not adapting, then that's a problem. And that's what I think people are worried about with Womack and Alabama's defense is they're a little susceptible. They feel differently. Even the coach for South Carolina said that they had a good game plan for Alabama. Have you ever heard anyone say that before about a Saban defense, that they've had a good game plan for it? No. Like, that's the difference now is I like that what Womack did at South Alabama. I thought it was a decent hire because he looked like he was the next guy, local guy, and you would get good work out of him. But I just don't think his schemes are sound enough, and I don't think they're complex enough to hang. And that's honestly, and the offense played bad, but that, like, I don't know. It happens sometimes. They scraped away with a win. That's all that matters, really. I knew South Carolina was going to play this close. It was never in doubt that South Carolina plus 21 was going to hit, in my opinion. And I think if they have another big spread against any SEC team this week, you take the underdog because they're going to be played close the rest of this year. DeBoer kind of, I don't know. DeBoer, even last year, at Washington, he doesn't like blow teams out. He kind of plays down occasionally to the competition. I think he's very PJ Fleck in that way. No offense.
No, you're fine. We get it.
But the thing about Saban was that he would hold everyone accountable all the way to the final whistle, even if they were up 60. Like they would just bury teams, and I don't think that you're going to see that out of a DeBoer team just in general, unless they start changing the philosophy, at least his philosophy. He needs to have some fire under him. It's different, man. When you're at Washington, you can be your coy, you can be your calm, collected coach. But when you're at Alabama, you have to be on their ass all the time. And because it's a different standard. And I know that everyone says that, but it really is. These teams have a different standard. Ohio State has a different standard. Alabama has a different standard. Texas has a different standard now with Sark. It's like you gotta be on it all the time. And they just weren't. And I don't think that they're going to really put it together this year. I think they'll sneak into the CFP. They might even get a shot at we were arguing this the other night. It's the Georgia win makes it a lot easier for them, a lot more pathways to get into the SEC championship, to get that auto bid. And I like their chances in those big games because that's just how they play. And DeBoer wins those kinds of games. But it's going to be a struggle, and this is not going to be the Bama team that you see usually, in my opinion.
Okay. Before we move on, because we really need to get going here, the one thing I did want to say is, like, for your defensive coordinator hire, I think it was a decent hire. And sometimes, even if it's a good hire, like they've proven themselves elsewhere, it doesn't mean it's always going to work when they come here. Like, it just happens. It's
Alabama's
weird.
Different football than South Alabama. You're playing it's just different. And
well, yeah, and he could go to a different school and be good. It just all depends. Like, maybe he doesn't have like the athletes he wants. Like, well, I mean, they're all athletes, but he doesn't have like
you're
the
gonna
right
have
type.
the athletes you want at Alabama. Let's just
nip
that in the bud.
Regardless.
Yeah, so I think it's a scheme issue, and I think he even admitted that in his post game interview, or like recently. He said it was schematic, and I'm like, you can't have a schematic problem in the SEC. That's how you screw it up. They had blown coverages. You don't see that with Alabama, and it's just I don't understand. It's tough. I think he's on the hot seat, honestly.
Should be.
Yeah, I think if he keeps this up, he's probably going to be gone at the end of the year.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on because we have been going for about an hour and a half or so ish.
Nope, only an hour. I know it feels long, but yeah, we just eclipsed an hour. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we started a little bit later than I thought we did. Cool. Mm-hmm. I'm not in a huge rush then. So up next we have Utah at Arizona State. This one was a good game.
This one was an easy pick.
Good game is a little generous in my opinion.
I'm just kidding. No, it was not a good game. ASU did play really well. I wanted to say it was a good game because I thought Utah was overrated. I said it multiple times, but at the same time too, I'm like, I think they win by 7. I think they should win by more. That's why I thought they're overrated, but they're a lot more overrated than I thought. Because Cam and Christian got ASU plus 5.5, right? Zach and I took Utah minus 5.5. I mean, I'll take it. That loss, I'll take, I guess. Like I said, I thought it was going to be closer than it was. So,
I mean, Arizona State just balled out. I mean, Scatterbo played how we thought he would. That was the whole thing going into it, was were they going to be able to stop Cam Scatterbo? And he hung 158 on them, and he had another 40 through the air. The quarterback, Sam Leavitt, didn't really have to do anything for Arizona State, honestly. This was this was a GT game from Scatterbo, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Cam Rising is a shell of himself.
Awful.
I don't know what has happened to him. I don't know if this was what was going to happen to him, or if this is a result of the injury and not really playing all that much this year. But he was horrendous.
Yeah, because I thought he was really, really good last year. Like,
he was one of the most hyped quarterbacks coming into this season.
Well, and it could be the injury. It could be the injuries, though. Like, because not only do you have to come back physically from it, but you also have to come back mentally from it.
Yeah, and if you're not ready for that.
I don't know if he's ready for that. I don't know if he's comfortable. You know, it's one of those things where maybe, is he a senior this year?
Yeah, dude, he's like a
Gotta hope
seventh
so.
seventh
Oh,
year
seventh year
senior.
senior?
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say if he was a little bit younger,
Older than me.
I forgot that he was there for that long. Mostly because he's been injured so often. What I was gonna say though, if he had another year, maybe he has a bad year this year, bounce back next year because he can get his mind right. But you're done. Like your football career is more or less done now. NFL teams aren't gonna draft him. So
Might get a like a training camp signing.
I was
Just
gonna say
see if
undrafted
he
free
can ball
agent.
out there.
He's out for the year, apparently they said, or out indefinitely.
Okay, so
So-
he's not getting drafted. He has way too many injuries. His
Oh,
body's
that's what
getting
3 picks
older.
was, yeah.
Zach Wilson's
So-
brother taking his place. I don't know if
Oh,
you
that's
guys knew
cool.
that. Isaac Wilson.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Does
he's
he have
not.
anything for moms?
Yeah, I was gonna say, does he have a thing for moms too?
I'm sure he does. Those
Atta
pesky
boy.
Mormons. That's crazy. That's like sacrilege, right? Going to Utah,
Yeah.
as a BYU family.
God, that's funny though.
Yeah, but
Could you imagine the in-house rivalry now? Or the
Utah
in-family rivalry now?
preseason favorites, I think, to win the Big 12, and I think this kaputs it. There are just better teams right now. BYU, Iowa State, obviously, and they're leaps and bounds. Texas Tech is still undefeated in conference, so they have a shot. Kansas State has looked good here and there. Arizona State, obviously, if they can start heating up. Big 12. Yeah. I think that the Big 10 is more up for grabs than what we thought the Big 12 was going to be now at this point, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the Big 10 is a better conference.
Definitely, yeah, but
because we have the higher end, like we have the higher ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
But the Big 12 has a lot of like teams that just aren't good right now.
Yeah, they have some bottom feeders.
Because sure. I think if you put Iowa State, no offense to all the Iowa State fans out there, I like Iowa State, but if you put them in the Big 10 though, they're not undefeated right now. I don't think.
Probably.
I guess it depends on the schedule they got, but I don't think they're undefeated.
Yeah, probably not.
All right, so we're gonna move on to Texas, Oklahoma. I'm gonna when I get done going through this, I am gonna talk about something quick after it. So Texas covered the 14.5 point spread. This was Zach's stupid pick of the week. He took the Oklahoma money line. That idiot. We're gonna keep calling him that throughout the show. Don't worry, he gave us permission. I would like to say though, so
if you did or not.
When Texas came out and planted the flag on Baker Mayfield's jersey or number or whatever,
that's
Baker
so
Mayfield, yeah, he came out and said, he goes, "It's a great feeling to know that you still live in their heads almost a decade later, like you're rent free in their heads." It's
so
super
lame.
Funny. It was so funny.
I don't know why they did that. Like
that was so stupid.
They could have done anyone else's jersey, like an active player or something, but they picked Baker. Like that means that he torments you like culturally, and I don't think that's something you want to admit. That was really lame. But I don't think there's much to say about this game, honestly.
No, I just wanted to talk about the Baker Mayfield thing. That was funny.
I mean, Oklahoma, I think they're better off with Hawkins at quarterback instead of Jackson Arnold, but I don't think they're good at all. So it's that was kind of the prediction this year, though. They were going to have an off year. I mean, they'll figure it out, but rough welcome to the SEC.
Too,
yeah,
so.
I mean, they're not going to be rated
to start
ranked.
The year.
They're
No,
not going to be ranked. But to start the year for sure.
Yeah.
Ewers is back. He looked okay. I mean, I thought their run game was more impressive to me. They were just like dominant on defense, but I think that was more up to Oklahoma not having any good offensive plan really or talent on the offense. They didn't get anything going. Hawkins ran 20 times for 27 yards. Like that's not going to cut it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I would just like to throw out there with Ewers, this was his first week back, correct?
Yes.
He might need a game to knock off the rust. It happens.
Yeah, and they did it. I mean, that's a big game for them.
Yeah,
so like,
I think
mentally, he's right back in it because that's the Red River rivalry. Sorry.
And anytime you play a rival and beat them by 31, I don't care how you got there. I don't care what it looked like. If you beat a rival by 31, it's a good week.
Mm-hmm.
Because rivalries, even if, look at besides the mid 2000s with the Gophers in Iowa. Look at the Gophers in Iowa. Every game we play is besides this year, but other than that, every game we've played in the past 10 years has been close.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is just a rock fight. Wisconsin's been a little bit different which somehow we're still like fighting to be 500 in that series after losing for 23 straight years. So that just tells you about how dominant Minnesota was before. But yeah, anytime you beat a rival by 31, it's a great week. So,
Yep.
And next up, we have Arizona taking on the Mormons. We all took BYU -3. So the only two games that we all agreed on this week, we all got right. So,
Well, and the other thing, if you look at all of our picks of the week were correct too.
what were they? I didn't even look at our pick of the weeks.
We went 4 for 4.
We did go 4 for 4.
Yeah, because it's tough when we have like 3 of the same picks and then someone picks the over or the under. I usually go with the team like Cam picked the over for Iowa State, but we all picked Iowa State -3. So that's usually like if we don't have a consensus pick, I pick those ones.
Yeah.
And then the Colorado over felt like it was going to hit for sure. And I just picked money line because I wanted to have that like the getting ahead pick and kind of choosing something different. But yeah, so though,
and it almost happened.
Yeah, well, I fell asleep. Unfortunately, I would have won $30 if I stayed up. But
oof.
Yeah. Anywho, BYU Arizona, not much to say. Arizona does not look as good. I mean, it sucks. I really like Fafita. I like McMillan, but BYU is just a different animal. They were firing on all cylinders on offense, and defense was good. I think they're a legit team. I was a little worried about them being fraudulent, but I think them winning this game cements that they're a good squad, and just to keep that in mind for the future.
So do I. I do think BYU is so when they first got ranked, I was a little skeptical. And maybe that's just recency bias. Like, I know they've been decent, but I just never thought that they're like, one of the top 25.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's hard to get rid of that recency bias, especially when they just start doing good. Because it's like you beat a bad team by a lot of points. I just want to see a little more. It's kind of like what the Gophers went through in 2019. Like, we had a rough start, and then we started just absolutely annihilating Big Ten teams, and it still took us forever to get ranked because it's Minnesota. Like, they're going to fall off. And that's what people were thinking. They're just going to fall off, and they never did. So,
yeah, because I think we all thought that their win against Kansas State was fraudulent a little bit.
Yeah, I just thought it was a clunker from Kansas State. Like, they just did everything wrong. So, but next up, we got...
Any thoughts, Cam? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Cam. Sorry.
No, I just think... I honestly think BYU's legit. I mean, I haven't been high on Arizona all year, so that doesn't really help their cause with me. But I think they've got a great squad for the line. The line was at what, 3?
3.
Yep. 3.5?
No, just 3.
For them to win 41-19 when Vegas thinks the game's going to be that close, major props to BYU. But like I said before, Arizona's a basketball school. They've got no business being in that game at all, and BYU proved it. So that's all I got to say.
All right. So the next game that we're probably going to sit and talk. I didn't get to watch a lot of games. I had some stuff going on. So up next, we have Ole Miss at LSU. Christian was the only one that got this one right. He took LSU plus 3.5, and then me, Cam, and Zach all took Ole Miss minus 3.5. I was surprised. I know Ole Miss has kind of been, hunky dory, but I thought they would have beat LSU by 3. I even said in the pod, like on Wednesday, I even said I think this is a 7-point game. I was wrong, and this is one of those games. It was close. Like, it could have gone either way. I had that one. I had Ohio State, Penn State missed by 0.5 point. So, like, in all honesty, give me those 3, I'm sitting at 10-2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just sucks. I had a couple of bad beats. Like, what do you do with that,
Yeah, this one was awesome. This was another instant classic. I thought this game and the Oregon game were like 2 of the best games played so far this year. Really entertaining. I like watching football when Alabama's not playing. It's just way less stressful. And you can just sit and enjoy the game. And like you said, it was close. It came down to Nussmeier throwing a 30-yard pass into the end zone and winning in overtime. Like they needed to score in their overtime drive because Ole Miss had put up a field goal. So it's close, man, and these games are all close. Nussmeier looked okay. I thought he impressed me nearing the end of the game. He ended up with 2 picks, but once he got through those, I thought he looked really good. And on must-score drives, I thought he played really well. Jackson Dart, I don't know what happened to him. He was like a preseason Heisman watch, I think. And I don't think that he's lived up to any of the expectations for that offense. Trey Harris, he did play, and he played well. So my pre-game was if Trey Harris wasn't playing, that I thought LSU would win handedly, and he did play, and they still won. So I think that means LSU is a little bit better than we might have thought, or I might have thought at least. They cannot run the football. LSU does not have a run game. And I think if there's a real competent defense, they can game plan for that, and that's going to be an issue. But they have good athletes out wide. Nussmeier obviously can spread the ball around. I don't know. Who's to say one of these teams, like LSU, could be in the SEC championship?
Yeah, they could sneak into the playoff too.
Yeah, for sure. So
I mean, I don't think that they're that good, but I do think they could sneak their way in.
They dropped Ole Miss nine spots in the AP poll for this game. I think that was a little harsh, personally.
Well, which is weird because LSU wasn't like some low ranked, or they were a top 15 team. So why are you dropping Ole Miss that far?
I guess the voters must not have liked Ole Miss after their previous issues against Kentucky.
Maybe, but Kentucky, they put up fights with a lot of teams too. It's not like it's just gonna be Ole Miss that Kentucky's gonna be in a game with this year.
Except for Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt beat the brakes off Kentucky. Oh no, it was 20-13. Wow. Yeah. Kentucky's good, man. Kentucky is good.
Kentucky's good now, guys. I just looked at the scores. We're yeah. All right. So Cam, did you have anything on the LSU game here?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it. I had too much stuff going on Saturday.
So then next up we have Iowa State at West Virginia. Cam took the over on this game. I'm sorry, there was only 20 points scored by one team this game.
By one team. Yeah.
By one team, yeah.
I thought you said in total.
Like, no.
Yeah, that was weirdly worded. Let's work on that.
Sorry. Yeah. There was 20 total points scored by a single team, and that was Iowa State.
Yes, there was not a lot of
only
points.
Missed by 9, so 10, I guess. But wasn't too far off, but
anyways.
If let me start here. I honestly thought we were going to get more out of West Virginia. Again, they apparently were supposed to have a Heisman quarterback with Garrett Green, and he just hasn't shown anything. He hasn't impressed me all year, but I thought this could have been a turnaround game for him. Obviously it wasn't. Iowa State still shows to be dominant, but I didn't want to say I thought West Virginia would win the Big 12, but I honestly thought they'd be having a better season than what they're having right now. They've got a great fan base behind them. Like I said, Garrett Green was supposed to be their guy, and it just hasn't been working out for them this year.
Let's be fair though to them. Their losses have been to really good teams.
Yeah.
They lost to Penn State, and Pitt is ranked now, and Pitt has shown to be really good with Holstein as quarterback, and obviously Iowa State. So I don't think they're a bad team. I think they've just run into teams that are hot, teams that are good. Iowa State's defense has been very impressive this year.
Yes.
Offensively, they haven't blown the pants off anyone yet, really, but just defense, being able to, they played some good offenses. I think that Iowa win is really standing out to me for Iowa State. Being able to hold them, considering how good Caleb Johnson has ended up looking, I think holding them to 19 points is really impressive. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Iowa State looks really good. I think a lot of people thought that maybe they weren't going to be much better than where they were last week. And I know some people are picking West Virginia to win this game. So this was a really big win for them. I don't know. They don't play a real tough schedule the rest of the way. So
They could go undefeated.
I think it's very likely they do.
Yeah, the only game that I think is going to be that could be a heck of a game. Obviously, there could be upsets, but right now, the only game that I think could be is depending on which Kansas State team shows up would be the Kansas State game.
I think Texas Tech is going to give them a shake too, as well.
They could. They very well could. I was just saying, like, just from like if Iowa State keeps playing to this level. And then, because even then, like Kansas State, if the team that shows up against BYU shows up, they're going to get their doors blown off.
Right.
So it just all depends. Anyways, I would like to say I have a cousin who's a huge Iowa State fan, and I asked him before the Iowa game, how do you think you guys are going to do this year? I'm like, because I think you guys have a chance to win the Big 12. And he said, he kind of said, like, I don't think that's going to happen.
A realist.
Yeah, so I'd like to say I told you so, because they have a real shot at winning the Big 12 right now. So I don't know if he still listens to us or not, but we'll find out.
He better.
He better. I hope he does. He was like one of our most faithful listeners last year. So, all right. Up next, we have the Kansas State at Colorado game. I think I was going to take Kansas State minus 3.5 in this one, and I switched to the over at the last minute because Cam convinced me. I'm like, why am I taking K-State minus 3.5 when I know Colorado doesn't have a defense? So I was like, and that Colorado can put up points sometimes. So I was like, I should probably take the over in this game. They can. Colorado can put up points depending on which team shows up and if the offensive line can do it.
I don't have a doubt in my mind that they can put points up.
Yeah, that's why I took the over.
Right. Yeah, I felt very comfortable with the over here. Obviously, Kansas State has a solid offense. DJ Giddens running for 182 is against Colorado. I'm not very surprised by that. We know how weak their defense is. Shadur throwing for 388 and 3 tuds. I don't want to say you expect it, because it kind of takes away from what he's doing. They have a very high potent offense, but I knew they would put up points. I was a little afraid of Kansas State's defense on if they could stop Colorado, which obviously they couldn't, but the offense did enough for them to win. And that's kind of what I was hoping for, betting the over. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out a couple interesting things about this game. Travis Hunter got hurt pretty early into this one, so they played most of this game without him, and most of their scoring came without him. So I think it's interesting. I think they probably would have won had he been healthy, personally. But Omarion Miller having 145 through the air, I think is really impressive. Him being able to step up in that role, because I think we kind of thought Colorado was a 2-man show on offense, between Shadur and Travis Hunter, which is awesome. They're a great 2-man show, but you would have liked to see some other guys step up to kind of make this offense more potent. They had negative rushing yards in this game total, so that they have to figure that out. I mean, if they want to compete with anyone,
how many of those were sack yards?
Shadur had negative 50 yards.
So they had 21 rushing yards. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
That makes it a whole lot better. It doesn't. That's really bad.
Yeah.
Through an entire game, 11 or 20, 21 yards.
21.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Defense obviously is an issue, but I didn't think that their defense played horrendous. I thought that Kansas State was surely going to put up 40 on Colorado's defense, but they sort of held them in check. I think that mostly is on the back of DJ Giddens being able to run all over them and the clock running out, and there just not being enough time to score that many points. But Colorado had a really good second half offensively, and I don't know. I think Colorado's better than we think, but they're definitely not as good as Kansas State for sure,
Mhm.
but just a
I
weird
don't
If
one.
know.
you gave Colorado even a decent defense, I think a lot of their scores would be much different,
Hmm.
or
Um,
even a decent running game to go with the passing attack. Like just you give them one of those two things, I feel like this Colorado team could be making a bigger push, but obviously they lack on the defensive side of the ball, which makes Shadur have to throw for almost 400 every game for the game to even be close. But if you give them a competent defense, they're in. Well, they're winning most of these games. They're not in them because they've had these close games where they're just shooting it out. But you give them a good defense, they're probably only have one loss. Um,
if you give them a
I
good
guess they are four
defense,
two.
if you give them a good defense, like a defense that's consistently good, and you give, like, even if they had any semblance of a run game, like, I'm not saying that the rush for 100 yards, but just any semblance of one, they'd be a top 10 team. Like, their defense is what's
Well, that would
like the big thing that's holding them back.
you look at the Nebraska game. They held Nebraska to 28 points,
Yeah,
which
but
obviously is more than you want.
I haven't been impressed with Nebraska's offense since like the first few weeks of the
Yeah,
year.
that's
So
true. They haven't looked that good.
Right. But what Nebraska did was they took away the passing game. They tried to make Colorado run, and that's not their game. So
well, I just think it all
if
falls on
you
the
if
offensive
you
line.
yes, he did get sacked 6 times by Kansas State.
We talk about run
But
blocking too.
right, but when you can put four guys down on the defensive line and let your backers play a little deeper, it makes passing so much harder. Obviously, not having Travis Hunter, they probably win that game if Travis Hunter's in the whole game.
Probably.
You can't lie; he's one of, if not the top, most electric guy right now
Mhm.
with what he does with the ball, even on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
That also hurts their defense. If he's in the game, you're probably not throwing to his side, and if you do, it's at least getting deflected or maybe picked off.
All right. So, like I said, I didn't get to watch this game. I was kind of surprised at how close it is. Maybe Colorado's better than I like gave them credit for. I still don't think they're, a top 15 team, but they could be, a fringe top 25. Fringe.
Fringe.
Yeah, but one more thing before we get out of here, just because of what happened on Sunday. Prayers out for Hutchinson.
Yeah.
That was a gruesome injury. Um,
That was gnarly.
yeah, it was a compound fracture. For you that don't know what a compound fracture is, where the bone goes through the skin. Yeah, he's out for the rest of the year, no question, which sucks because he is a great ball player. And he's probably like with how late it happened into the season, he could possibly be out for a few games next year because that is a tough injury to come back from. So,
But since we are somewhat a betting show, if he comes into the year fully fine, playable, mark him down for comeback player of the year.
I could see that. Yeah, for sure.
I thought fractures and stuff healed quicker
A
than.
compound fracture is a broken bone that went through your skin.
Yeah, but it's still, so what? It's just broken and it went through the skin. But I think broken. Obviously, you were grateful he avoided an ACL problem. I think.
ACLs are
I wonder here.
heal faster
What? No, then a fracture, no shot.
than a broken bone.
Yeah, fractures are I thought there was 6 months, whereas an ACL can be a year.
I'm pretty sure this one's a year.
Severe fractures take 3 to 6 months. He could be around. He could I don't know.
I guess maybe, but from some of the people that I listened to talk to, because he had surgery and stuff, I suppose it depends on what else he messed up with the bone shooting through the skin and stuff. Because there are other things besides just your bone down in your
His recovery
leg.
timeline is 4 to 6 months, so he could be
4 to 6
here
months?
if the Lions make a
Maybe.
playoff push. He could be there.
Maybe I just looked at the injury and thought it was worse than it was.
Yeah,
because it looked absolutely horrible.
Yes, the fractures look bad, but I think you're grateful he didn't tear something.
Yeah, and this isn't like a Theismann injury either.
No, or like an
It
Alex
feels
Smith.
Alex Smith, yeah, or
Kevin Ware. Wow, that's a throwback.
Kevin,
Wow.
dude, that was. I watched that live.
That was so
That
gross.
was. Oh my god, I was like, oh. They showed. That was back before they quit showing replays of these gruesome injuries.
Yeah. They showed
They
like
showed that
10
one.
replays
Yeah,
of that.
they showed it a lot
Like,
that game.
Guys, you
I
gotta
was like, once
understand.
is more than enough here, guys.
Yeah.
Oh god, that was bad. But anyways, we're at the end of the show. I just thought I'd give a shout out to speedy recovery for Hutchinson because he is probably the best edge rusher in the NFL at
He's
this
up
point.
there,
Anyways,
for sure.
well, at this point in the year, statistically, he is the best, and it's not even close.
According to what statistic? Come on.
Pressures, QB
PFF
pressures.
grade.
No, QB pressures.
Yeah.
He was leading the league in
What
pressures.
what is his double team rate? We're gonna look into that.
You can look into it. I'm pretty, but
We'll get it ready for next.
yeah,
show.
next show we'll talk about that because
This
he
is gonna take way too long.
yeah. Well, he had over 40 pressures, and the next closest guy had like 28. So, all right. Until Wednesday, guys.
Just wait
thanks
quick.
for-
He
sorry.
by far leads the NFL in edge pass run win rate. So yeah, he's probably the best.
Yeah, I'll take my dub because I know Paul. So, all right. Until Wednesday, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one. Skyma, go Gophers, and for Zach, row the boat, Cody, and also roll golden flashes. Cam.
Jeez, dude, spit it out. Well, college hockey season is upon us, so roll Mavs.
Roll Mavs, baby. They're
Skyma.
my hockey.
Pride on ice.
Go Riv.
Roll Tide.
RSU, baby.
Roll Tide.
Right.
Roll Tide.
We'll see you guys later.